Detroit Lions fans, Detroit Den 313 back with another one. Steve and Will here, ready to talk to Detroit Lions football. But before we do, you know what it is. Hit that subscribe button if for some reason you have not hit that subscribe button. And there's a lot of you that haven't hit the subscribe button for whatever reason. I don't say it often, but we get a good following of people that watch our videos, and then it's only like 30% of those people that keep coming back that are subscribed to the channel. Don't really understand it, but hit that subscribe button. It's free. Think about becoming a member so you can win some free stuff. Steve, what we doing?
You can only lead a horse to water, William. That's all I know. That's all I know in life. Dan Campbell made some interesting statements today at that podium, William. Some interesting statements. I think we've dove into it quite a bit this week, but I feel like as it's getting closer to game day, Aleem McNeill was mentioned today as being a 50-50 for Detroit Lions versus Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. 50-50 to play. Flip a coin. Said it was all going to come down to practice today, how he looked. They said they've been increasing his workload. He came back Wednesday. Thursday, he had more on his plate. Today's going to be the day where they make a decision on if Aleem McNeill is going to play against those Bengals, Will. So do you think we can get by? I can't even ask a question without laughing, but can we get by the Bengals without Aleem McNeill?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. There's no chance. Like, without Aleem McNeill, we're dead in the water against the Bengals. So, I don't know. Need him to absolutely. You already know, man. We don't need Aleem McNeill to get by the Bengals, man. If we don't get by the Bengals, it's because we had a catastrophic failure.
I'll tell you this, William. I think you and me could play D tackle and we could get by the Bengals. And I'll tell you right now, better double team one of us because you don't want Hutch in a one on one. You don't want Steve Perkins in a one on one. You don't want Will Ford in a one on one. That's a losing mix up. I mean, Bengals offensive line's beat up. I said a couple days ago that I'd like Aleem to play 5 to 10 snaps. Nothing crazy. Get your feet wet. Get your legs under you. Dan also hinted that it was going to be about confidence and comfortability with Aleem and how he's feeling. You know, there's a mental side to an injury. It's not just, oh, my body's healed, I'm good to go. It's, do I trust this knee to do all the things that I used to be able to do before I got injured? That kind of gap, I guess, between the mental and the physical side of it. And I'm sure that, you know, Aleem's going to end up being fine. But first game back, maybe just 5 to 10 reps. Let's just dip them into the water and see how it looks. Give them a little bit of more of a workload next week. But 50-50 will. So I'm hoping to see him, but even if it's like 1 or 2 snaps, I feel like maybe we can squeak out a nail biter against the Bengals.
Steve, cycling back to this, you and I playing D-line, I got to say, I wouldn't even be betting on us making plays because that's not going to happen. I'm just wondering how long we could stay alive. One play?
I feel like I feel like I got like one good rep in me. I don't know when it would be. Like, if you want to, I don't think you want to blow it against the Cincinnati Bengals, Dan. If you want to sign me, you're probably going to want that one rep from me in a Super Bowl, not a game again, week 5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. So lighten my workload. Let me just give you that one in a meaningful game, not the Bengals game.
Is that going to be
get killed? Absolutely.
Up?
Yeah, like
I was gonna say, game sealed up. You're just gonna celebrate on the field.
Yeah, if we're blowing out the Bills or the Ravens or the Chiefs, whoever, and you let me come in and just like maybe get in victory formation, I might be able to handle a rep like that. But I'd absolutely get killed out there. Well, there's not a question about it.
I'm in the same boat, but keeping it on subject, I gotta say, Steve, I had to bring up the contract as I sit here. 50-50. Those words make me a little bit uncomfortable. And before you guys hammer us or hammer me in the comments saying, who am I? I'm just in my basement talking Detroit Lions football. You are absolutely correct. But I'm going to give my opinion anyways, and you're listening, so you wanted to hear it. 50-50 to me, Steve, is not terms for risking $97 million. Right? So if you're 50-50 about $97 million, I'd say wait until you're 70-30. 80-20. Like, if words like 50-50 are coming out of your mouth, let's pump the brakes, let's wait, and let's go ahead and let him be 100% sure, or as close to sure as you can be about putting him out there. So for those reasons, I don't like the word 50-50. But that said, in Brad and Dan, I trust. So they put him out there, I'm going to assume the real numbers aren't 50-50. The real numbers are 80-20 or whatever you want to call it, and they're sure about it. But if it really is 50-50, I do not want to see Alim McNeil. I would rather see him when he's 100% full throttle and ready to go. I know he feels good, but I do understand with these type of injuries, there's swelling, inflammation, there's irritation, there's things that you got to deal with from a mobility standpoint after it gets swollen that worry me. So it's about how did that knee react to his practice rep. So yet remains to be seen. All that said, if he's out there, I'm going to be pumped up, and it will be must-see TV. As Coach Tomlin says, I won't blink.
I don't think it's 50-50 as in he's being ready to play. I think it's 50-50 on do we need him to play? I don't know. Dan's weird with his words. I don't think this is a 50-50 on health. I think it's just, is he over all the physical therapy? Is he conditioned? Is he ready to take on more of a workload? I don't question him being ready from a physical standpoint. I think he could have played a couple weeks ago against Baltimore, 5 to 10 reps. A couple more weeks after that, missed the whole Baltimore game, missed the Browns game last week. If I had to choose right now, gun to my head, sit him for one more week. Sit him for one more week. We don't need him against the Bengals. All right? I'd rather see him next week against the Kansas City Chiefs in a more impactful game on the road, viable opponent. Patrick Mahomes, they have a good center, Creed Humphrey, bigger test. I think that's going to be more of an obstacle for the Lions and the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not looking ahead. Not looking ahead at it by any means. It's the NFL any given Sunday. The Bengals still have some weapons we'll dive into probably tomorrow during our game day show. Jamar Chase, Trey Henderson. We got some guys to worry about on that team. But when I just go roster for roster, position by position, it's a landslide for the Detroit Lions. So I don't think we even need to see Alim McNeil play. It's just kind of the fan in me wanting to see a Pro Bowler coming back to this scary-ass defensive line, Will. But I can wait another week if I had to.
Yeah, I'd wait another one. I'd wait too. But all of that said, you pretty much captured everything that was on my mind as far as reasons why I wouldn't have him out there just yet. But like I said, if he's out there, then I'll be cheering my head off. Steve, but staying on Alim McNeil, Coach Campbell also mentioned something that interests me. He said, well, actually somebody asked him this question. They said, do they believe that Alim McNeil coming back is going to make Talik better? And Coach Campbell said absolutely. He mentioned Talik being a coach, right, out there on the field. And he also mentioned, hey, a lot of times, especially with the Detroit Lions, these coaches that they have, whether it be the lead guy in Casey Rogers or the support staff, can get out there and do the things that they want to articulate those guys doing. Now, Talik is going to be able to do nothing but watch a Pro Bowler who has a similar body type to him. Like, they talk about these guys being a similar game, similar style. So I think for those reasons, that's something that really excites me. Alim McNeil, the coach for Talik, I think it could maybe speed up the process of Talik being a Pro Bowler, man, because I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler. I know I really don't think that that's a hot take, but if it is, it is.
I look at these two players and I think they're clones. I think if you gave them identical haircuts and switched the jersey number, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell who's who. Will it make Tyleik Williams better? I'd like to see Tyleik in some more one-on-ones. I see him getting double teamed a lot, especially in the run game. I just haven't really paid attention to him a whole lot in pass rush situations, so I probably need to do a little bit more homework on that. But if I'm looking at this D-line, I feel like you got to pick your poison. Who do you want to beat you? Because I think Al-Qadim Muhammad's playing really good. He's an athletic freak. He looked like Superman a couple weeks ago against the Ravens. 97. I don't even need to say his name, just his jersey number. You know what you got to do with him. Then you put two junkyard dogs in the middle, Alim McNeil, Tyleik Williams. Who do you double team there? I think both of those D tackles offer a little bit more in pass rush. I know DJ Reader's still going to get hit snaps. He's a run stopper. And also homecoming for DJ in a little bit of ways. He came from the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm sure there's a little bit of revenge. David Montgomery, Cincinnati kid. There's some guys making some homecoming returns that we'll dive into on game day. I got a little story, if not a lot of people are familiar with it, about David Montgomery and a little bit of his background of some stuff I've been seeing. But when I look at these two players, Will, boy, I don't know how Jake Browning's getting much sleep this week. That's all I'm going to say. I feel like a beat up O-line, an O-line that isn't playing very well. And now, oh, hey, welcome in the Detroit Lions, who are getting a potential all-pro defensive tackle coming back this week to come in and get some reps and to see how he's feeling. Oh, even if he's not feeling good, he doesn't play. Have fun dealing with Hutch. Have fun dealing with Williams, Reeder, Davenport, or not Davenport, Al-Qadim Muhammad. Like, it's just, I feel like the Bengals are getting thrown to the Lions in a way. Pun intended there. Well, I don't know.
I see what you did there. Sharp.
Wordsmith.
Yeah, I see. Steve, something else that I feel like is going under the radar. Coach Campbell mentioned it a little bit today. Taylor Decker, Steve. Taylor Decker is not practicing. He's not practicing. He's playing damn good football, though. You mentioned it a couple of podcasts ago, or maybe the last podcast. Jared Goff, just clean jerseys.
Clean as a whistle.
Just still creased. Just no big deal. I gotta tip my hat to Taylor Decker. If you've been a Detroit Lions fan for the long ride, Taylor Decker has been through it. Peaks and valleys, man. I there's been times where people have just been talking all types of stuff about Taylor Decker, only for him to get to the point to where he is now. A veteran who Coach Campbell said is only really at about 85% of his self by the time we get to game days, not getting reps all week at practice, but getting out there and performing at a high level. My question is this, Steve. Do you think that if Taylor Decker can never, and I don't know how you can only get so much on the bye week, if he never can get to full throttle throughout this season, do you feel like he can keep this up all season, not practicing, but going out there and getting it done on the field?
As long as he's playing on Sundays, right, and he's playing at a high level, don't practice him Monday through Saturday. I don't care. How's he looking on Sundays? That's where we judge him, right? You know, I understand practice is important. You need those reps, but games aren't won during practice. You can get better during practice, but ultimately, to me, it's how are you playing during the game? And I'll tell you this: I think it's more important that we have Taylor Decker this week and rather than Aleem McNeil, because they have a guy in Cincinnati who can wreck a game, Trey Hendrickson. If Taylor Decker doesn't play, I don't imagine a world where Trey Hendrickson isn't lined up on whoever's playing left tackle for us on Sunday. And that's going to be fine the fish. Like Trey Hendrickson, don't come on here and say that you guys, Trey Hendrickson's trash. Well, he's not going to do anything against us. Best O-line. We were all clamoring for the Detroit Lions to trade him, and it still might be a possibility down the road. So don't come on here and bash Trey Hendrickson like he can't play football. So there's very few game records in the NFL. Trey Hendrickson's one of them. Unfortunately, on defense, that's kind of where the list ends. They still got some guys, but they don't have a bunch of guys like Trey Hendrickson who can get in the backfield and is playing ball on the other side of the line of scrimmage is what I don't want to see. So I think we need Taylor. I don't care that he's not practicing, but he's someone to watch on game day because he's got his hands full this week too. Because I would imagine that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to do the same game plan. You're not going to attack Penei Sewell. You know what you got over there. Taylor Decker is probably the one you're going to be going at as a defensive end. You don't want best on best. You want best matchup. I think the best matchup for the Bengals would be Decker versus Trey Hendrickson. But Taylor's held his own against Myles Garrett. So if he can hold his own against Myles Garrett, he can hold his own against anyone. So I'm not worried about it. I think he needs to play, though.
Took the words out of my mouth, Steve. Bottom line is if he can block Myles Garrett, I'm not worried about Trey. And no disrespect to him. Dude's like you said, a freaking good football player, but I think Myles Garrett is the best of the best. So that's just kind of where I stand on that. But similar situation, Steve, with Kirby Joseph. But this was new information to me today. Coach Campbell mentioned that Kirby Joseph had created a new injury at the game. So it wasn't his knee injury that he's kind of been battling throughout the whole season, talking about how the knee was getting inflamed. Some days he can't practice because of it. No, it was a new injury at the game. It's something that they're monitoring throughout this week. He will be out there practicing today. They feel like he's on the uptick and he's going to be fine. Another player, Steve, that is missing a whole lot of practice this season, but going out there and playing at a high level on Sundays. For those reasons, Steve, I'm just super thankful that we got a lot of NFL players, recent players, on our staff, because I think they understand the grind and they understand exactly what it takes to be able to get enough out of the week, but then get out there on Sundays and perform. There's been times in the past where if you didn't practice for a couple of days, you didn't play in a game. And I know guys like Coach Caldwell um, kind of had a little bit different stance than Coach Campbell does, even with practice. Like he practices hard when you're out there. If you're out there, you're hitting throughout the week. You're out there just through the grind all season. And I know people say, is that what maybe some of our injuries from last season were contributed to? And I'll say maybe. Maybe it is part of it. But on the back end of it, that's why we go in and beat teams up like the Baltimore Ravens, who are tough football teams, very similar to us. So that's the reason why guys like Grant Stewart said things like, I never seen nobody practice like this. Like this is different. Guys like David Montgomery, who's going to his coach begging to tackle at practice, begging to hit at practice, and they're like, nah, man, that's the we hit on Sundays. We don't we don't hit during the week. So it's different here in Detroit, and I'm thankful for it. Steve, do you think that we have an edge because we have so many guys who have played in the league recently?
What do you mean by played in the league recently?
Just like throughout our staff, like we have so many
Oh,
guys, man, that either like
coaches.
currently on the staff, yeah, or who even the guys who just got off of the staff too, man. Like guys like Antoine Randall L, who was on our staff last season, dude, like a few seasons ago. You know what I mean? Like I'd say by a few seasons, I mean 10 years. Like we got a lot of guys who've played in the last 10 years. They were on the field. They can relate to the grind, everything that goes along with being an NFL football player. So there's no saying like, man, the last time you played was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You don't understand the game right now. You don't understand what I'm going through. There's so many guys that can to relate directly to what the grind is.
I think the captain of the ship is Dan Campbell. I can't even like off the top of my head, I can't tell you what his last NFL season was, but I know that our coaching staff is loaded with former players. But I mean, off the top of my head, I know a lot of coaching staffs are filled with former players. How recently, I don't know, but I mean, we have Mark Brunell as our quarterbacks coach. He hasn't played in the league in over 10 years. Bruce Gradkowski, he's played in the league, but it's been a while. I mean, I don't know how much of an effect it has. I'm trying to think of who on our coaching staff has been in the league the most recent. Is it Kelvin Shepard? I'm not even 100% sure. That would be my guess off the top of my head. So how big of a thing does it? How big of a difference does it make? I think it's minimal, but I think the captain is Dan Campbell, and I think people just believe in him. The first season of Hard Knocks, like this dude was out here like, hey man, this is how we're gonna practice. This is what it's gonna be like. I promise you, it's gonna make you a better football team. And that year was not a sexy year. We were one win away from the playoffs, but there were some struggles. We started out 1-6, and we were all kind of like, man, I don't know. Maybe, I was really excited about Hard Knocks, but maybe we should have practiced a little lighter. You can see it now paying dividends. All right. You can see it, Dan Campbell, when he was preaching and telling these guys, it's going to be tough. It's going to be different. It's going to be a different organization. Like you said the other day with the story on Trey Flowers, people came here to just cash checks. It's not the case no more. You're here to play football. You're here to win football games, point blank, period. We've got some good players that we were really high on that aren't even on the team right now. Guys that we brought in as undrafted free agents, played really well in preseasons, didn't end up making the team. We're loaded with former Super Bowl champions, Avante Maddox, some guys who have been in the league for a long time, Rocky Yassin, guys who are still getting their feet wet, Brian Branch. Like we've had a very diverse football team. But I think Dan Campbell's the biggest difference maker when it comes to who's on the field. And Brad Holmes has done a phenomenal job, but he's the front office guy. He's the guy who puts the team together. Brad's got to coach it. So I don't know how much of a difference it makes. That's a good question. Um, I'd have to really sit down and look at some rosters and say, well, how do we compare against this team? But I think we're pretty set. It's definitely a help, but most recently, I think Kelvin Shepard's the most recent from the league. But I'm even going to look it up as we're talking. But I don't know, Will.
Yeah, for me, it's not even just the current staff, man, because this thing is built over the whole time that Coach Campbell's been there. One thing that I think you nailed was the head of this thing being Coach Campbell, right? Because his mentality and his ability to relate to players playing. Number one is his presence. When you look at him, you're like, man, can you help us on Sunday? Like, how you feeling? Like the players say that. I'm not even just talking about us as just normal human beings. I'm talking about the players. Sam Laporta said when he met him in their interview, he was like, man, this is a physically imposing dude. Like, this is a large man. So there's that. Then again, there's that distance. There not being that much distance. But I mean, you mentioned quarterbacks, Coach Steve, and yeah, Mark Brunell. It's been a long time for him, but JT Barrett was here last season, and he was just playing like a few seasons prior to becoming a QB's coach. So I just think that there's so many of these guys, man, that have been around the game recently. Like, and by, like I said, recently being in the last 10 years or so, but it's been a short enough stand for these guys who come through our organization that they can relate. And I think it makes a huge difference because when you're talking to somebody from a standpoint of, hey, I did this. Like, I did this. I was here recently. I understand it. It's different than the coach like Miami Dolphins coach, right? He's a
Dork.
wizard. Yeah, he's a wizard, man. But if you're telling me you understand what my body feels like, you understand what I need to do for my body, and you're going to request this of me because you understand that those players are looking at him like, dude, you have no idea.
You can't
Like,
relate.
yeah, but when Scotty Montgomery says it, right? When Deshae Townsend says it, when Coach Campbell says it, right? I mean, and it's just been so many. Dre Bly was in here, Aaron Glenn, you know what I mean? It's been, like I said, Antoine Randall L, JT Barrett, Mark Brunell, Chris Spielman, even though it's been a long time. You know, I bet when Chris Spielman talks to Jack Campbell is like, yes, sir. Okay, understand, sir. You know what I mean? So it's like these guys, man, they can relate to that grind. So I think that's part of what makes us a little bit different, man. And it's why a lot of people are trying to mimic our style of play and what we do. But if you don't have the same personnel around it, I don't think you can get that buy-in.
Kelvin Shepard last played for the Detroit Lions 2018. So he's only 7 years removed. And I'm pretty sure he jumped like right into coaching as soon as he hung it up as a player. So
Sean Dion Hamilton.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of former players in Miami Dolphins head coach. Absolute dork. Can't stand the guy. Can't wait to watch him get fired. I don't have
That's
any
why I dropped
personal
his name
vendetta.
already.
Yeah. No personal vendetta with the Miami Dolphins at all. But your coach, absolute tool. I was going to ask something, Will. I can't even remember what it was. I can't even remember. Real quick, Taylor Decker. You mentioned him. I wanted to say, you said he's been through all the peaks and valleys. Longest Detroit Lions player on the roster. This dude was around in the Matt Patricia days, so he's been through it, man. I think he's and just last thing on Taylor Decker going back, I think he's the most undervalued. Stop. Take that pencil out of here immediately, or I'm ending the show. Longest tenure Lion, man. Like, he's been through the bad days, the good days, 3-13-1 to 1/2 away from an NFL Super Bowl. I think that we need to send that dude out with a ring on his hand because he's just been a battler, like just an old tested battle axe that we very rarely have to talk about on here. And that's been years after years after years. Like, nobody ever talks about Taylor Decker on the offensive line. It's always been Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell. So he deserves a lot more credit, even though he's a Buckeye. We'll let that slide.
Steve, I got one last question, man. And I kind of been sitting on it. Taylor Decker kind of doing the thing that Frank Ragnow did. Like, Frank Ragnow sat out a lot of practice with the toe thing going on. Do you think that this upcoming draft, we got to take a look at some tackles?
Whoa.
I'm just saying, like, because like that's what's floating around in my mind, Steve. Like, he's missing a lot of practice, and I'm not saying he won't be back. I hope he's back. I hope he plays out his contract. But do you think that because Gio has been up and down? He showed moments where he's a people mover. He showed moments where he hasn't looked great. So Miles, he's another one. He's on the pup, man, right now. Haven't really got an opportunity to see him. Don't know what he's going to be. I know he's played a little bit of tackle. I know he's played a little bit of guard. Which one will it be? What will it look like? Is Tate going to move to center, and then he's playing guard, and then we need a tackle? So do you think that that's maybe something? Because I know for me, college football this season, I got to start looking at these tackles.
Week 5, Will wants to do a draft show where we're 4-1, getting ready to be 4-1. I don't know, kind of a blindsided
Got to be ready. Got to be ready, Steve.
We've talked offline about some things. I'm not sure that people want to have that conversation yet about what I want. I would say it doesn't hurt to draft a tackle somewhere in the first 3 rounds. But there's also another position that I really like this year that I'd like to address in the first 3 rounds. Yeah, no more, no more. It doesn't hurt to have a backup because when you mentioned Manu, I picture Manu against Myles Garrett last week if he had been our starting left tackle. I'm not sure that game goes the way it does. I think there's a big drop off in talent when it comes to Myles Garrett versus Taylor Decker. A big drop off. So I am by no means ready to hand the reins over to Myles or to Manu in regular season. He looks good in preseason games while he's going against kids who are drafted in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round trying to make the roster. You put him on the starting lineup where games matter and you're saying, hey, go up against Trey Hendrickson and Myles Garrett in back-to-back weeks. I don't know that we're not scraping Jared Goff off of the field.
Might be.
Detroit
did 3-1-3.
Yeah, I'm not saying we don't have to break out a shovel and remove Jared Goff's body off the field if Giovanni Manu is our left tackle. So I feel like it does need to be addressed. I can't hand the keys over to Gio right now, and I don't know that I'll feel that much more confident in the offseason. So little offseason preview.
For sure. That's all I have.
Anything else today?
Nope.
Guys, thanks for watching. Game day episode will be out tomorrow sometime. I'm traveling to Cincinnati tomorrow. Maybe when we get to the hotel room, if we schedules line up, we can knock out a half-hour show real fast. We'll have to see about how that's looking. But think about becoming a member. Real easy. It's that little join button right next to the episode. Helps the channel out tremendously. At the very least, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.